I grilled mine before I came. It'll be ready when I get home. Put together.
At 10 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, whenever.
I believe that's yours, sir.
Some light reading. Monarch.
Page turn
Monarch Imperial. Okay, good evening. I'd like to call our Tuesday, March 25th meeting to order. If everyone will rise and join us for a prayer and the pledge.
Please bow your heads with me. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and the many blessings you've given us. Lord, we thank you so much for this beautiful community and for the opportunity that we each have to live within it and to serve within it. Lord, we just ask that you be present in our meeting this evening. Be with our council members as they make decisions. And Lord, we just ask that you guide them to make the wise choices that you would have them to make for the betterment of this community. Lord, we thank you for each person that's come out tonight to be part of whatever discussion or decision that is before us. And we just ask that you be with each of them as they go back home this evening and give them safe travels. Just lead us and guide us and forgive us where we fail you. We say all these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Lewis.
Here.
Chairman Pro Tem Kennedy.
Here.
Councilwoman Hofflinger.
Here.
Councilwoman Pettit.
Here.
Councilman Blake.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Welcome, Nate. We'll move into public comment. So a citizen desiring to speak on an item not on the agenda may do so at this time. Each citizen is limited to 3 minutes, and the council will not take action or discuss items at this time. Discussion should be limited to matters of city business, and public comment is not permitted in regards to personnel matters or pending legal matters. Items introduced under public comment may become an agenda item at a later date. Lisa Boyer.
I would just like to say that we're very
Can you,
excited.
we're streaming, so just to capture your voice. Thank you. Okay.
I just wanted to say on behalf of the Aurora Downtown Project Board that we are very excited to be having another business that is coming to town, such as Winston's. And we are very happy to have them, and we are excited that they're going to have really good food and that we support them in whatever their endeavors are with the food and the potential license for alcohol. So I just wanted to say welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. For the rest of the audience, if there's anyone here to speak on that matter, we'll open a public comment on that during that agenda item. So, moving forward with council forum, Mr. Kennedy.
I had park board meeting this week, which we talked about a few things. One of the ones that will come to council tonight is kind of finalization of the process around the pollinator gardens. That is on our agenda. And then also a mention of the mayor for Monarchs, which will also be on the agenda. They do have a stack of events that will probably be coming for the next meeting. They got their dates set, so we'll be seeing those soon. And then I had an opportunity, Mr. Finzo graciously gave me a tour of the rec center on Friday that I hadn't seen since really it was just framing, I think, when we were all out there, and it looks incredible. If any of you guys get a chance, go out there and take a look and see the progress. It's a way different building now than it was even 2 weeks ago, so.
Excuse me, sorry. So I haven't been here a couple weeks, but so I guess we had the meeting with the MSU, what was that, 3 weeks ago with the students for, and we've got one coming up on there. And then also 2 weeks ago, I was at the downtown luncheon that was held up here, so.
I don't have anything new to report. I know it. I know.
And I attended the National Incident Management System training that we had. It was very good. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I was out of town last couple weeks, so not a lot from me. Prior to that, the one downtown event in here that was well attended and went well. So, moving on to the consent agenda. This will be our regular session minutes from March 11th, along with the March 2025 appropriations.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda for the minutes on March 11th and March 2025 appropriations.
Second?
Motion and a second, please vote.
Motion passed.
Moving on to old business, 7.1, second reading of ordinance 2025-3345, lot split, 912 Properties LLC. Any questions, council?
None further from me.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 2025 3345 lot split 912 Properties LLC.
Second.
Motion and a second, please vote.
Motion passed.
7.2, second reading of ordinance 2025-3347, lot split, Kurt Mooneyham.
No further from me.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 2025-3347 lot split Kurt Mooneyham.
Second.
Motion and a second, please vote.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Moving on to new business, 8.1, resolution number 2025-2022, native and pollinator garden policy.
Good evening, council.
Hello.
You'll see in your agenda this evening surrounding this topic, there's 3 different documents that I'll be referencing. And Rebecca Hadlow, that is a member of your park board, I believe she's present this evening to assist me in this endeavor as well as your next agenda item. So she really is a very passionate driver of this project and has taken on a lot of responsibility and duty in getting all the detailed information to the park board and to me. And so where we had left off with the park board and the city council on earlier discussions was some sort of policy to provide some guidance around what we would allow in terms of native and pollinator gardens in city parks or on other city-owned property. As you know, there had been some conversation about some concerns about our general tall grass codes and that kind of thing throughout the community. So I believe that this is a way to allow implementation of these gardens within the community for our homeschool groups to have some sensory learning experiences, as well as just the general citizens to be able to see these things as an aesthetically pleasing thing within our city-owned properties. So with that being the case, this policy would only allow these gardens on city-owned property, and it puts guidelines around what those can consist of, who would maintain them, and what that all looks like. So the first document that you have in your agenda is the actual policy, and that is just implementing what we believe from staff, and Travis in the Parks Department has partnered with me on this as well. We believe that these are all guidelines and things that would keep this to where they're manageable. And then the second document is an actual application, so someone who wanted to put a garden in would fill out this application, and the last document is the maintenance agreement. So that would be whoever is actually going to be agreeing to maintain it within our property would execute that with staff. So this went to the park board for review as part of their agenda at their meeting last week, and they are recommending approval to the council on all 3 documents as you see them presented in your agenda. The one thing that we did talk about, and I'll just tell you, I went back and forth with this part of this topic a little bit, and Councilman Kennedy and I talked about it as well, was putting a size limitation on them. So originally I thought, well, let's say that they can't ever be any bigger than 10 foot by 20 foot. But a concern for me with that was then we would be held to allowing a 10 foot by 20 foot on maybe a 4,000 square foot lot downtown. And I feel like maybe that's a little too big. So instead of putting an actual set size in here to limit that at all, I felt like maybe it was better to just leave that discretion to the staff. So if somebody's making application for that, they would have to propose to us with a drawing of what it would look like, what it would entail, and its sizing, and we can determine whether we think it fits the lot that they're proposing to put it in on or not. So with that being the case, that's the only thing we didn't put in that maybe should be or could be considered, but I believe that staff can kind of manage that a little bit, and I would be prepared to bring it back to you at any point that we feel like we need to rein in at all, and maybe consider that. But I feel like this is a good place to start, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have, and I believe Mrs. Hadlow is happy to do the same.
You've answered the questions I had. I don't think we have anything, so thank you for your hard work and dedication towards this. Hope it works out, so.
I'll make a motion, we accept resolution 2025-2022 for the native and pollinator garden policy.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, please vote.
Motion passed.
Next up, 8.2, resolution number 2025-2023, Mayors for Monarchs.
Council, Mrs. Hadlow presented to you guys a few months back specific to the Mayor's Monarchs Pledge. And so what this is just a kind of in concert with this pollinator garden policy. This would be the council authorizing the mayor to actually do this pledge on the behalf of the city of Aurora, indicating that we want to be a partner and a player in protecting the monarchs. Do you want to explain that a little better, Rebecca, or? So I'll let her speak to that a little bit, but we had to choose specific action items. And so on this, we had some issues with that document being accepted by our agenda center online. So you didn't get to see the exact action items that she and I have chosen to select. So I'll let her speak to that a little bit and then kind of explain what you would actually be checking rather than all of them.
Okay, great.
I brought my daughter with me because this is important. Kids' voices need to be heard as well. They're a huge part of our community, and they've been really imperative in driving my interest in this. I do feel like the city of Aurora, in taking on this pledge, is making a pledge also to future generations that we want to preserve the pollinators that we have in our area. The native gardens go hand in hand with that. My daughter Luella would like to tell you a little bit about pollinators. If she could, would you like me to hold you up? No? Okay, she changed her mind. But she does want you to know that bugs and bees and birds and all the native pollinators are very important to our habitat and to the city and to children everywhere, and also to our constituents and the community at large. But she did want to come, and I told her all about it, and so she is being very brave right now. And but that it's very special to me, and I appreciate you guys taking this on and making it important to the city of Aurora. But if you have any other questions about the Mayors for Monarchs pledge, I'm happy to answer them as well.
What were the points that we agreed to?
So there's a whole host of about 50 items, and we can check all of them. I felt like maybe we should kind of scale that down initially starting out. So what Rebecca and I spoke about was we would like for the council to check the box for engaging with city parks and recreation and public works for sustainability and relevant staff to identify opportunities, basically just to maintain these areas and to maintain areas that are habitat for the monarchs and those kind of native things. And then engage with gardening leaders and partners, which she is one of them that we will be engaging with from the city standpoint. So basically influential community leaders from those aspects to support monarch butterfly conservation. And then create a community art project to enhance and promote monarch and pollinator conservation, as well as cultural awareness and recognition. She intends to put some things that would be art related in with the first pollinator garden that they put in, correct? And then they're going to do an event. So this is an event that the park board's been discussing that'll be coming before you as a special event application. And that is to host or support a monarch butterfly festival that is accessible to all residents in the community and promotes monarch and pollinator conservation, as well as the cultural awareness and recognition. So they are planning, the park board, to have an event that would check that box, and that would be a park board event, not a full city event. Of course, we will help them any way that they need, but it will be a park board event. And then display educational signage at monarch gardens and pollinator habitats. So that would again be within those gardens that they're planning to plant to educate on why they're there and what they are. Okay.
Thank you.
So that's what we plan to check if that's acceptable to the council. Is that good?
Sounds good.
Make a motion that we accept resolution 2025-2023, Mayor for Monarch.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion passed.
Thank you very much. 8.3, resolution number 2025-2026, ABC Agreement Extension.
Council, this was tabled from your last meeting due to lack of a quorum, and Mr. Pettit is present this evening to present to you his proposal. So this is from your last round of community partner funding, and the agreement would be expiring, and Mr. Pettit is here to have a conversation with you about their status and to request an extension regarding that.
Evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you?
Great.
Good. I'm here on behalf of ABC. ABC's been in business for over 10 years now, mainly demolishing business or properties. This is one of the first projects that we've had for remodeling, and it's pretty extensive. You know, our demos typically last about a year and a half. We're able to get things together and get them demolished. This is part of the project. This is a different kind that really does require quite a bit of work. Carrie's showing you right now some of the original video or pictures that we have of the house when we first got it by tax deed. You can see abandoned vehicles that were in the back, trees overrun everywhere, trees growing up in the foundation, lots of things that we had to get cut down. We had a lot of volunteer work. Project Rise has committed hundreds of hours of community service to this. Oh, stop there for just a second. The trash in this place was just absolutely incredible. You know, I think that the guy that lived in this before it was abandoned, finally abandoned, didn't have any water to it, so he had hundreds of jugs, water jugs, and he'd fill up those water jugs and bring them in, and that's what he used as his water for probably the last 2 or 3 years that he lived there. So we did have to hire out a company to come in and clean out that. It was less than $1,000, so it wasn't too bad. So this is part of one of the rooms where the floor is kind of given way, but we feel like that part of the building is redeemable. There are some photos in there of actually the back part of this property, which wasn't redeemable. We had to cut it off and slice it out. So there are 82 photos. You can go through them pretty quick. Most of them pretty, okay, right here, there was some asbestos siding on this building. We had to get, with volunteer work, and I can't remember which one of the volunteers that we had to supervise the demo of the asbestos. But, you know, in accordance with the DNR rules, we stripped it off and in compliance did away with all that. We had tires we had to get rid of. Yikes. You know, that was a lot worse than I thought, going through these pictures. So let's get to some of the ones that show its current condition a little better. Yeah, here we go. So it's been stripped down, ready for some new siding. We have torn off the back side, and there's some of our volunteers. Okay, a little bit further down. We have actually dug the foundation for the back part of the building to go in. And there you go. Yeah. So we've dug all that out. That part is going to be the new kitchen area, bathroom, and a bedroom in the back side. So at this point, we have accomplished a lot of the cleanup. We had taken out all the trees. We did have to pay for some tree removal. We did have to pay for some expenses associated with removing and properly disposing of the debris. I have a list of the expenses that we have spent on the property so far, and I will hand that out to you. So far, we have $11,882.50 that's been invested. Okay, so that's what we've done so far. Oh, by the way, my legal counsel had just told me before I came up here that we're only now to a point, or at least last month, we were to a point where we have cleared title. Apparently there was a credit card or something attached to it, but we've now got that cleared. So the title to the property is clear, free and clear at this point. Okay, so where do we go from here as far as expenses? Well, I mean, you can see we've got to frame in and pour the concrete for the pad in the back, and then we've got framing for that backside project. Obviously, we've got you know, the HVAC, the windows, doors, siding, paint, roof. So, you know, the expense part of this project really is going to begin at this point. $11,000 in it. The city has graciously invested or granted us $30,000 to this point. we anticipate certainly at least twice that in order to get it up to speed. The good news is the Aurora Beautification has the money to continue the project with the city's help, and our plan is to complete it. The timeline now, you know, when I was here requesting the grant a couple of years ago, I had asked for 2 years, and I felt like we were going to be able to do it within 2 years. Unfortunately, we couldn't. I mean, we do depend very heavily on volunteer help. You know, volunteer businesses like Singer Construction and Doty Trash and Brad Bettler is our project foreman. We just have to kind of take our volunteer help as we get it. So I've been told by my group that we could get it done within a year. You know, years go by in blinks. Teresa and I talked about this the other day. We've been in our house 39 years the other day. That's just like that. So I'm thinking 2 years, but whatever the city council, whatever you decide is fine with me. We would appreciate the extension because we do believe that this house will be a really nice asset to the community. So if you have other questions, be happy to answer them as I can.
I do not.
Does splitting the difference at 18 months make sense?
Sounds like a reasonable compromise to me. You went to mediation school, didn't you,
No.
Mayor?
No, I just would prefer to give you enough time not to have you go through this again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I say I can't vote, but I just want to mention one thing, because I can't vote because I help with ABC. But it's interesting, this home, the only thing that was good about it is the original home that was built in the early 1900s. All the other add-ons were trash.
Yeah.
So I just
That's
thought that was
interesting.
interesting.
And that's the part that's left right there. It's pretty solid,
Yeah.
but the rest wasn't so good. All right.
Any questions, thoughts? No?
Thank you. I
I'll make
appreciate
a
it.
motion that we approve resolution number 2025-2026 ABC agreement extension with an 18-month extension.
Second.
Motion and a second, please vote.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
8.4, resolution number 2025-2030 airport board appointment, Rusty Shala. Okay. Any questions?
Not for me.
Did you want to address the opportunity?
Thank you, City Council. Thank you, Mayor. I seen the opening to apply for the boards, and I've lived here with my wife, Joe, for a little over 2 years, and we just absolutely love the city. And when I see that, I thought a best way of a citizen to give back is to try to get involved with what's going on in the community. And so I wanted to apply. 27 years working at Federal Medical Center, Federal Bureau of Prisons, currently work at Probation and Parole here in Aurora. But I just wanted to give back to the city any way I could and be a productive member.
Thank you for applying and
Yeah.
stepping up. So I appreciate it. Happy to have you. So with that, I'll make a motion. We approve I lost my place. Airport Board, resolution number 2025-2030, Airport Board appointment for Rusty Shala.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion passed.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
8.5, resolution number 2025-3031, liquor license exception, Michael Parberry.
Council, this request comes by formal written request from Michael Parberry, who is the owner of Winston's, the Old Doggone Bar and Grill, that is going in at 121 South Madison. So to give you some explanation, this is not a process that we typically have handled regularly in the past. So just to give some explanation as to how we arrived where we are this evening, Mr. Parberry reached out to me and indicated he was already aware of both our city code and the Missouri state statute outlining that sales of liquor is prohibited near schools and churches within 100 feet of any school, church, or other building regularly used as a place of religious worship, unless the applicant for the license shall first obtain the consent in writing of the city council. So what they call that is a written notice of exception in Missouri state statute, which is exactly how our verbiage was adopted in our city code as well. With that being the case, it indicates that the consent shall not be granted until at least 10 days written notice has been given to all property owners within 100 foot. So you'll see that in your agenda this evening, there's a map that I've included that shows the measurement between the topic property of the requester and then the engaged church that is located on faces Olive Street. So with that being the case, it's approximately 55 feet from nearest point to nearest point between those two properties. One thing that gets a little bit tricky in these conversations is an understanding or misconception sometimes that we would measure from front door to front door or threshold to threshold. But we've had several conversations at the state level trying to get a good interpretation of that state statute and how to implement it locally. And they tell us that how it's written is how it's written. So with that being the case, we always have to go from nearest point to nearest point, which would be the backside of these buildings. So actually, when we talk about a front door, foot traffic, and people encountering the type of land use that would be going on at a property, in this scenario, they actually face different streets, Olive and Madison. But with the request, the state statute written as it is, we considered this within 100 foot, so we've asked him to go through this process. The city does not currently have a process and an application adopted for such a request. So I consulted our legal counsel, and Nate and I discussed handling this like we do all of our formal legal requests that go between the Planning and Zoning Commission and then the City Council. So what we've done is we have notified all property owners within 100 foot, just like we typically do 185 at P&Z. And we sent those via certified letter, and we've had zero response in terms of in the office from those requests or from those public hearing notices. But we do intend for you to have a public hearing this evening to invite comment from the community. You will see in front of you 2 letters of support that have come in via email. And those are from Shannon Walker with the Chamber of Commerce and Kim Mobley. And so they asked me to provide those to you this evening, and you'll see them in front of you on the dais as letters in support. That's really the basis of it. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Parbury to give you a good understanding of his actual request and the details within it. And I'm happy to answer any questions from the code standpoint that you have from me.
Thank you, Carrie.
I appreciate you all meeting me. To the Shalas, welcome to your favorite hometown. My name is Michael Parbury. I'm familiar with Josh just from Aurora. I grew up here from preschool all the way through graduation. I've got very deep roots. As she mentioned, I've got a lot of what I believe is support, not that I'm biased or anything. Not a whole lot of people understand what we have to be proud about being hound dogs. I brought this photo. This dog here is Winston, why we are the hound dogs. This was taken on the southern border while troops from Aurora were out chasing Pancho Villa. So that is Winston. We aren't the Wildcats or the Bears or the Lions or anything. And again, I'm biased because I haven't ever been any of those. But I think it's important that people understand why we are the hound dogs. And one of my goals with Winston's is to provide some history and knowledge of what we come from and what we're kind of about. Quick background, before I moved back to Aurora, I lived in Springfield, and I was the GM and executive chef at Springfield Brewing Company for roughly 5 years. I helped open Hotel Vandevort before that. Worked there almost 5 years, and then I was at Touch Restaurant and Lounge. It's now Char, but that's when I started my kind of venture into the restaurant world as a dishwasher years back. It was about this time. So getting a background in just hard work and doing it correctly. I was going to school, went to OTC, got my degree from there, thinking that I knew what I wanted to do. And then I realized maybe that's not, and finding this team effect in culinary is really what led me down this road. And I knew that I wanted to bring some of those skills and traits back to Aurora, because once a hound dog, always a hound dog. when I moved to Springfield Brewing Company, it was the first time that I was not in fine dining. And I was hit with the realization like, oh, this is my clientele. You've got lawyers eating next to teachers, eating next to construction people, and you're not necessarily wearing a collar and whatnot. And, you know, people can show up and have a cheeseburger, a greasy cheeseburger and a beer, whatever. And that was my first time of being like, I definitely see a future for me, but nothing against Springfield. It's not Aurora. It's not home, you know? With that being said, I have long histories of dealing with people that, and we were a brewing company, so people are being served alcohol and dealing with the appropriate amount of drinks here and there. You don't want to deal with being overserved. And then I found that wildly enough, as long as you have food going, it's roughly 70 to 80% of your income is from culinary, food, non-alcoholic soda pops and stuff like that, which is about what I expect. Very little, like special occasions. On Cinco de Mayo, we'll have margaritas. On Mother's Day, we'll have mimosas. But other than that, we're not doing Tequila Tuesdays and stuff like that. I want the focus to be on food, not as the bar. The Old Doggone Bar and Grill is just a fun name for me. But yeah, and not only that, I don't want to deal with those type of clientele. So I'm looking for people that want to show up and watch the football game while having a cheeseburger and a cold beer or a Coca-Cola, you know, anything like that. Just a very approachable place that they can learn of Aurora's very rich history and bring good atmosphere to downtown, because we're on the verge and upcoming again with the biasness, but I think that something like that is going to be very beneficial and just a good hangout place. And again, I talk about my grandpa and Kim and some of these individuals having booths up in the corner and just telling stories of this and that through the week. So again, I appreciate you all hearing me out, and
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Appreciate your investment.
I have a question. How soon can you be open?
Let's see, lunch tomorrow? No. This is one of those dominoes that, depending on our decision tonight, it should get everything in process. I've had multiple walkthroughs with the health inspector, and they're basically ready to pass me. I need this written letter of exception to send in to the state for my license, along with, you know, my just background history, making sure I'm not a felon or anything. But other than that, it's kind of just going to be waiting on paperwork. So I'm hoping still for early April, but I'm tired of the painting. I was actually going to ask Mr. Petty, I need to get with some of your volunteers, because I had to volunteer my parents and family to help me paint and everything. I'm tired of all of that pre-work, but no, I'm ready to just be making cheeseburgers and sandwiches.
How many people can you seat?
It's going to be 56. She's doing the chairs. 56. And I'll be closing. I plan on closing about 8 o'clock at night. If I've got a couple people hanging out, I'd rather stay open till 9 as opposed to saying I'm open till 9 and closing at 8. So again, I'm not trying to be the bar in town. I'll leave that to other people, but yeah, not again, not too far off of this. I'm hitting 10 o'clock is my bedtime. So
Okay.
So part of our procedure is going to be to move into a public hearing. So I'll make a motion, we enter a public hearing.
Second.
I think I should have the rest of my people on their way or stuck in traffic or something. So.
Okay. All in favor of moving into a public hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're in a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak? Opposed or for? Going once.
I think it's a good idea.
Just in regards to what I said earlier, we're very excited about that we're going to have another restaurant that's coming downtown. Many of you know that we're getting ready to start the big deal with the Aurora Downtown Farmers Market. And, originally we were talking about having, a whole bunch of different food trucks come in. And then we got to thinking, well, now we've got these new restaurants coming in. And so we're hoping then that we can do some work with the restaurants and stuff so that we can have some kind of specials so that we can pull people that come to the farmers market to entertain them with the idea that we've got a great new restaurant downtown and that you can go over there and have some food and a good drink and just kind of sit back and relax with friends and have some, some sports time or whatever it may take, or just some relaxation so that you have that bonding atmosphere as well too. So we're very excited about it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any others? Okay.
I'm just speaking as a citizen, not as a member of the airport
Yeah.
board. Yeah. I would just like to say, I kind of echo her in what he was saying. I lived in Springfield for many years, and being here in Aurora, and I work on 27 West Locust, and I think opportunity to see the downtown, see it grow with businesses and stuff, I think it's a great thing. We came back, me and my wife did, I think it was right after Thanksgiving, was it? When they had on the street, the little festival with the, anyway, I just think it's great to start seeing businesses down there, and I, for one, would look forward to going to that establishment.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Oh.
Okay.
Scott Pettit, I'm all for it.
Okay. Thanks, Scott. Great. Okay. With that, I will make a motion we come out of public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No? All right. So with that, I believe we are ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-3031, liquor license exception, Michael Parberry.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Eight point 6, first reading of ordinance number 2025-3346, rezone request, 102 East College Street.
Council, this was on your previous council agenda and was actually tabled due to some conversation between the, at the time, proposed developer when it came before the Planning and Zoning Commission and the property owner. So we've had a little bit of shift in that. The original proposed developer we're not sure exactly how he's moving forward at this point. So what I've done is, in the meantime, I reached out to the property owner who was originally signed applicant on the application in concert with the actual property owner. They were kind of partnering on the request to the city. And the property owner has indicated to me that she wants to move forward with this rezone request. So that's the reason for the table at your last meeting. So now I'll go into the rezone request and how it was handled by the Planning and Zoning Commission. So this was considered at your Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on March 4th. And originally this request came in for a rezone from R1 single family residential to C2 general business district. And that was based on zoning in that neighborhood area. So when we looked at contiguous or abutting zoning, the only other zoning nearby was C2. But there was a little bit of pause to the fact that there is a single-family residential neighborhood directly and abutting to this property to the east. So with that being the topic of conversation, we then lend to the future land use map, which was most recently updated in the comprehensive plan for the city in 2022. When we pull that future land use map, it has this property in an area there that is supposed to be moving toward neighborhood market. So neighborhood market is not an actual zoning classification for Aurora yet, but it is a future thought process when we look at our zoning codes moving forward. A neighborhood market the intent of that is to try to encompass everything within a zoning area. So that would be residential and any kind of shopping or restaurant type use that you would want to see in a neighborhood so that somebody can get the things that they need in one spot close to their home. So with that being the case, that neighborhood market allows for single-family residential, multifamily residential, and some light commercial, but doesn't allow for the C2 commercial that our current code would allow. So with a little bit of concern of going to C2, it was mentioned to the developer and now the property owner to change that request to an R3, and they were both accepting of that. So the Planning and Zoning Commission has recommended approval of an R3 rezone for this property, which would allow for multifamily. The original developer was intending to do a 6-unit multiplex there, and the property owner indicates that she is in some conversations with another developer that has the same kind of intent. So at this point, we don't have any kind of application for development, but we do have further conversation for a multifamily use. Across the street to the north, you'll be aware that there is a unit like that, so it's a multifamily use with multiple apartments there, so that would be a typical use for that neighborhood and would be moving toward that neighborhood market thought process. Property owners within 185 feet were notified via public hearing notice, and we didn't have any opposition once they were understanding of what the proposed development would be. Staff recommendation is approval, and so is planning and zoning.
Questions?
No, not here.
Okay.
Make a motion to accept the first reading of ordinance 2025-3346 to rezone request to 102 East College.
Second.
Motion and a second, please vote. Thank you. Moving on to 8.7, special event application, Community Appreciation Day.
Council, this request comes from National TV Sales and Rental that is located at 1206 South Elliott, but they are looking to have a Customer Appreciation Day at Oak Park on May 10th. They are not requesting any kind of city services at this point in time. The only thing that has changed from their application is there's a mention in here of a bounce house. I had the conversation with them requiring the insurance for an event that would have such, and they have since chosen to redact the bounce house part from their application request. So the other specifics within the application are still the same minus the bounce house. Staff recommendation is approval, and we have no concerns.
I'll make a motion that we approve special event application, Community Appreciation Day minus bounce house.
Second.
A motion and a second, please vote.
Motion passed.
8.8, special event application, Stomping Out Hunger 5K.
Council, this request comes from Sabra Durham, and this is our typical annual event for the Stompin' Out Hunger 5K. Stompin' Out Hunger. I've been having a hard time saying that all day. I apologize. There's no change to this from previous years. So typically our street department works with them. We don't close any streets for this. Their run is just on the streets as they're open. We provide some cones and things if they need them, but there's no concern from staff on that, and they are not asking for any special assistance. Typically our police department does go, I think just kind of as a show of community support and safety support. Wes was not present this morning. Can we send someone? We are good to go. Staff recommendation is approval.
Any questions?
None for me.
I'll make a motion we approve special event application, Stomping Out Hunger 5K.
Second.
Motion and second, please vote.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Staff reports.
Council, I'm going to keep it pretty minimal this evening. Both of my reports are there for you. You'll see in the Economic Community Development update, just an update on the Recreation Center. Our walking track, elevated walking track flooring on the interior of the facility is going in. I went out today and saw the progress on that, and it looks fantastic. So I'm very excited about that and the progress they've made there. The outdoor walking trail has been paved, and the site work was being worked on today by Singer Construction to finish that out, and we'll be seeing seating and strawing here within the next couple days, weather permitting. So we're very excited about that. The barn demolition is complete up near the road. And the other small punch list items are nearing completion. So we are looking at a target date of total completion of that track flooring middle of next week. And then we're hoping that we're going to soft opening the following week. That's our goal. I don't want to go real hardcore with that yet till I see a floor complete, but that's where we're headed. We have staff in my office. Aaron has done most of this. I'll not take any of the credit. He has contacted several entities regarding the pigeon control and eradication methods that may be options to property owners downtown and what the city can do to help facilitate that. We have a consultant that's going to be coming in this week to assess the needs, estimate costs, and determine what we can do to begin a plan to work with building owners to work on that situation down there. So we learned some really good information last week based on conversations Aaron has had, and I think you'll see some positive activity taking place here soon with two of our buildings that are harboring the most of them. So we're working on that. In terms of departmental items, the water is on at Crosby, Oak, and Baldwin Parks, so everybody can utilize facilities there since the weather is getting warmer. Travis has that all open and usable now. The soccer league registration, 225 participants. We've doubled that league as well. So that's really exciting. Our rec staff, Anthony will tell you, and he's probably watching live, he will tell you it's all Jeremy, but those guys have partnered together and are doing a fantastic job on our rec leagues, and they're ready to start focusing on the same inside the building. We have 756 customer profiles in DaySmart, and staff has started this week at the facility. The administrative assistant and the first custodian have started, so they're beginning their training, and we're starting to see some things get clean and shiny over there today when I was present.
That's great.
We did receive our new wastewater operating permit from DNR. It goes into effect April 1st. And the I&I project for this year, the surveying is complete, and Algar Martin is working on construction documents in preparation for bid, so we should be seeing that happening soon. And then Algar Martin is scheduled to be here next Monday, the 31st. They'll be doing assessments on the lift stations that are being considered for this year's lift station rehab project. And as we discussed during the budget conversations, once that assessment is complete, a decision will be made on which one becomes the prioritized one for this year for the project. So we are working on the steps to get that going. Councilwoman Opplinger mentioned the NIMS training, the National Incident Management System training. We did complete that last week. We had 19 attendees. Really proud of our staff for stepping up and coming to want to be a part of that. I did require it of department heads, but they all brought either their secondary staff, you know, if they're not here, whoever would be in charge in their absence, captains, things like that. So we had a room full, and that training went really well. That's most of my highlighted items. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have for me, but we've had a very smooth 2 weeks.
10 meetings too. You're quite the busy girl.
It's, yep, not lightening up any, but we have good things going on.
Okay. Well, audience, thank you very much for attending and for the comments. With that, I will make a motion that we move into closed session for items 1, 3, and 13 pursuant to RSMO 610.021, 1, legal action, 3, hiring, firing, disciplining, promoting, 13, individual identifiable personnel records.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please. Yes.
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 Thank you.